Hey girl, ooh! Grab a drink, grab a snack. Welcome to this chatty video. Whoa! I've been wanting to make this video for a long time. What better day to do it than a cold, snowy winter day? I'm Kirsten, and I've been renovating my 1991 Chevrolet G20 into a camper van for like the past year and a half so that I can live in here full time. Duh. Today I want to get into why I sold my old truck camper for this van. I'm gonna go into that story. Let's get into it, bitch. Let's throw it back to 10 years ago, before van life had really taken off. Van life was not that popular yet. It was gaining more traction and interest, but it was not that well known to the level that it is today. I had always been interested in van life. I thought it was the most amazing way to travel, and I'm not going to get into why I wanted to live van life. The reasons are obvious in my opinion. But I met my partner. We both realized that we wanted to live van life and we wanted to do it together. So we started looking for a van, and then we came across Taylor Dasman on YouTube. He used to live in a truck camper on Vancouver Island, and obviously he inspired us. We ended up finding a truck camper before we ended up finding a van, so we ended up purchasing a Adventurer 86 FB. I dreamed of van life for 5 years before I got to actually experience it. So by the time I actually got a truck camper, van life had really taken off on social media. The truck camper we got, we planned to live in there full time. Like, we wanted to live in there for years, for like as long as we could, and really get our entire use out of that truck camper. We renovated the truck camper and did all necessary upgrades on the truck for 2.5 years. Because if we were going to live in there full time for years, we wanted to make that space feel like home. We wanted it to be more modern. We wanted to enjoy, like, if you're living in a moving vehicle full time, you need to enjoy the inside that you're surrounded with and looking at every single day. When we were finally done renovating the camper, you bet your darn tootin', we took that thing straight to Vancouver Island, where the weather was warm, and we spent the winter there. When I say we lived in there for 5 months, obviously we did not fulfill our dream of living in there full time for years to come. Living in the truck camper was not bad. It had its own pros and cons. The main point is that, as I mentioned in the beginning, I had always dreamed of van life. For like 5 years, I was dreaming of van life. I wanted to live in a van. I wanted to have a hippie van of my own, like my own personal space. I could decorate it however the hell I wanted to. Like, I really dreamed of that for myself. And I thought that when we purchased the truck camper, I thought my feeling and my desire for van life would go away. And in reality, it didn't go away. I was living in a truck camper. I was experiencing living in there full time and traveling full time and seeing beautiful, new, amazing, incredible things like every single day, meeting new people. It was just like the happiest literally I've ever been in my entire life. But it still was not my own personal space. It still was not a van. And no matter how happy I was, there's just this little piece of me that was like, I'm still going to get my own van one day. I don't know when that's going to be, but I still want a van of my own. We would just discuss it sometimes, like, do we really see ourselves living in here continually? And the answer was no. We eventually, like within a few months of living in the truck camper, we knew that this would not be our home for like a long period of time. We just didn't know when the time would come for us to sell it and choose something different for ourselves. We were at a dump station filling up fresh water, and this older woman comes by with this absolutely gorgeous camper van. I can't remember what kind it was. It was like a pleasure way. We had a conversation with her, and honestly, I don't know who this old woman was. I don't know her name. I don't know anything about her except for she changed my life and she inspired the hell out of me. She basically told us that she lived in her van and she had taken it down into the United States, and she would basically take her van into the United States and stay in warmer states for the winter, such as like, I specifically remember she mentioned Arizona, and I was like, that's one of the places I want to go to. And her, at her beautiful advanced age, she had her own van. There was no man living in there with her. There was no kids, no partner of any kind. It was just her and her van, and she was just there living her life, like being a snowbird and escaping to the United States like during the winter. And I was like, she is the embodiment of what I want. When I'm her age, I would love to be doing that exact same thing. And after she left, that is when my partner and I started really weighing the pros and cons of how long do we want to continue living in this truck camper, and like, should we get rid of it right now? And we talked about this. I think we made our decision pretty quick. What I did is I took a notebook and I wrote a list of pros and cons. Should we drive back to Alberta, sell the truck camper right now, and get our own vans of our own? And after looking at the pros and cons, the pros was longer on the list. It just made sense to not waste our younger years. If we don't love the truck camper, and if we want to have our own separate vans, there's no harm in doing it sooner rather than later. And that was that. That was the decision. I am grateful for the truck camper. I loved it. Like, it was my first home on wheels, and it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot, and it taught my partner and I about what we need and what we want. And we realized that like our needs and our wants are different. It taught me that I absolutely love living life on the road. I think that's something you should actually do, is if you're contemplating living on the road, is actually go out and try it before you make a huge investment. And it taught me that like I truly don't like being stagnant. I love roaming and the freedom of traveling, and I love seeing new things every day. It makes me feel invigorated. It makes me feel alive. And I'm so grateful that the truck camper was able to teach me those things. And I'm so grateful that the truck camper taught me that I don't like living in truck campers, and that I actually do want a van. So then I could go and make this investment into a van of my own. The first one was that I wanted a van, as I explained in the beginning. I never dreamed of truck camper life, girl. I was dreaming of van life. Next, the truck camper was on my partner's truck. I used to have a Ford Focus, a sedan, that I sold. Like, basically I didn't need the car anymore. What am I gonna do with a car when I'm living in a truck camper full time? So I just sold the car right before I started living in the camper full time, just for some extra money. So I did not have a vehicle of my own, and because it was my partner's truck, he was the one driving the truck. The truck camper is on top of the truck. So for a large chunk of the year, 6 months or more, I was not driving. I love driving. I love the freedom of driving. And there were some days when basically we both work remotely, and there were some days when I would be finished work but my partner was still working, and I wanted to go out and drive, and I wanted to explore Vancouver Island. I wanted to like go grocery shopping, or I wanted to go into gift shops, or just like explore whatever town or area that we were in, and I was not able to because I couldn't drive. And I can't drive the truck camper as my partner is using Starlink to work inside the truck camper, you know. So that was just a hassle. I missed my independence. I missed being able to drive around whenever I wanted to, and it was just kind of a hassle to wait around for him to be free, so that I could do whatever errands I needed to do that day, or just like go out for a hike if I wanted. There were a lot of things that I was limited in, that I didn't have that independence and I didn't have that freedom, and I found myself just really missing that. Going with the independence and freedom, I wanted my own hippie van that I could decorate the inside however I wanted to, because my partner and I have different tastes, and when you share a home with someone, you need to make sacrifices so that you both can enjoy living in that space, especially if the space is tiny. So we ended up renovating the truck camper with like all neutral colors, like white, gray, black. Oh, boring. Girl, look at my cabinets. They're purple. Look at my tricolor walls. Now, the last point is one of the main points of why we sold the truck camper. That thing was too fucking big. The amount of space inside was good. It had like basically a large kitchen area, and then it had like a step that led into the back bed area. So the space on the inside was not an issue. 2 people can easily live in there, in my opinion. But it was the weight of the truck camper. That thing was so goddamn heavy. First of all, trucks, depending on what type of truck you get, it has a certain amount of weight that it can handle. It has a certain payload. As we were living in it, it was overweight. And because of that, you have to drive extremely slowly and carefully, especially on windy roads. Like, people would get really annoyed with the truck camper on the road because, like, if you're going around twisty turns, you have to drive carefully and slowly so that you don't tip it over. If you're going uphill, you're gonna be going slow. If you're going downhill, you're gonna be going slow, trying not to blow out your brakes. The center of gravity in the truck camper, because you have this entire big ass box sitting on top of a truck, the center of gravity is super high, like pretty much close to a semi-truck. And so when you're taking turns, when you're going through hills, windy roads, trying to stop, it makes driving so much more difficult, and honestly, we were just getting tired of it. On top of that, it was a gas guzzler. The truck that we were using, it already takes quite a bit of gas, and with the truck camper on top, adding all of that extra weight, it was adding that much more gas. For example, my van went from Vancouver to central Alberta, $300 in gas. The truck camper, $700. That thing just eats away at the gas, and it, like, come on, if you're traveling into the United States like we eventually want to, that's not sustainable to be spending that much in gas. I think truck campers are great for weekend trips. For living in there full time, it just was not for us. because it's hard to drive, we felt like it was restricting our freedom with where we could go. For example, if you want to camp down like a Forest Service road, those were hard to go on because it was so tall. Every single bridge we went under, we had to contemplate, can we fit under this bridge, or is the top of the camper going to get taken off? Like, for example, we went into Calgary. There's a lot of bridges in that city. There were times where we would be driving down a road, we would see a bridge coming up, and we're like not able to follow the GPS anymore because like the bridge was too small for the camper to fit under. Like, oh my god, it was just like, as much as it allowed us to explore beautiful places, at the same time it was just like a big pain in the butt to drive. And the last thing I want to mention is that it's just not very possible to stealth camp or boondock with a truck camper. Obviously we did it. We parked on the side of roads, we parked in Forest Service roads, we were staying in parking lots sometimes. You can still do it, you can still get away with it, you can still park for free in the city, but people know for sure that you're in there. You stick out like a sore thumb because it's so humongous, and it wasn't like a big issue, it's just the fact that like it's just not stealthy. Those are the main reasons of why I decided to sell my truck camper for a van. I will tell you, like, my van is so light, so nimble. She is a breeze to drive. Just taking my van through the exact same roads on Vancouver Island that we drove the truck camper in, it's like a night and day difference. Like, my van handles those roads like no problem, whereas the truck camper, oh my god, it was like a nightmare just trying not to blow out the brakes and crash sometimes. So for me, van life feels better to me. I'm very grateful that I just made the decision sooner rather than later to sell the white elephant and to get Tori instead. So I don't know, hope that this video was helpful. If you have any further questions, you can feel free to leave them down below and I will get back to you. Take care of yourself, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.